Good afternoon, everybody. You're very welcome to Wexford Library for the launch of Living by the River, Stories by Wexford's own Pearse Turner. I'll soon hand over to former Minister, Labour Party leader and representative of the Wexford constituency for 37 years up to last week, Sir Brendan Howden, who officially launched the book.
Pearse Turner is part of the fabric of Wexford. I knew him as I was growing up. He was a pal of my sister. I talked to my sister about Pearse. He said he was passionate about music from the time he was a child. She has a memory of him showing her one of his records and her touching the middle of the record and him having conniption. That's not how you handle a record. So she knew from the beginning he was passionate about music, and it is, I suppose, not an unnatural progression from being a storyteller in music to being a storyteller in prose. And I was delighted when I read the book to be brought back to a Wexford that I actually remembered. Images that I am familiar with, that I remember so well, and stories of ordinary people who are, as I said, the building blocks of true history. So it was a joy to do it.
Before I call on Brendan to perform the launch, I'd like to congratulate Pearse on producing this book and thank him most sincerely for choosing Wexford Library for the launch. I'd also like to thank everybody who came out to support the launch today, considering the stormy conditions and the many trees and branches that are down after last night. So without further ado, can I please welcome Mr. Brendan Howden to officially launch Living by the River, Stories by Pearse Turner.
Thank you very much indeed. And can I thank Pearse for the wonderful invitation to perform my first civilian duty as a non-parliamentarian in 42 years. I'm learning again not to be a parliamentarian. It's a great pleasure to launch a book by a Wexford person, for a Wexford person, about Wexford. It is absolutely terrific. Patrick Kavanagh was considered, and is considered, one of Ireland's greatest poets. And he found meaning in the ordinary, the everyday, the lived experiences of normal people. Wexford's Patrick Kavanagh is a polymath. Pearse Turner, musician, poet, composer, is above all else a storyteller, the ultimate conversationalist. In his music, and now in his writing, he holds a conversation with the listener. He gives you insight and knowledge, not as a learned professor presenting some latest research, but rather as a Shanachie, a traditional Gaelic storyteller presenting our oral history. This book, Living by the River, captures a period in Wexford town's history. Not the violent and glorious history of 1798, or Cromwell, or of Norman knights. Pearse's history, like Kavanagh's, is of the ordinary, understanding, in the words of Seamus Heaney, that nothing is trivial. The greatest events in history are no more important than the ordinary and the commonplace. It is the ordinary space in which most people live. It is where lives are lived for the majority. And their dramas, successes, failures and triumphs, all are the true building blocks of human history. So, in Pearse's writings, we are brought to a place by the river. The river is a living thing. It, the Slaney, lives across the road. We are brought back to the quays of my boyhood that I remember so well. So different from the quayfront and all the activities of today. We're brought to a home that is a business, a private, laid-back father, and an entrepreneur mother. So often in all our lives, the mother, the woman, wants advancement and progress, and determinedly works with whatever resources are provided to make that happen. The business opens the doors to strangers. In an introduction that reads like the opening chapter of an Agatha Christie murder mystery, we meet the refined stranger Tom in a tale that ends in a parable. There's romance too. Jack Hayes and what might have been, or maybe, just maybe, what actually was. The familiarity of England, Wexford's escape channel, the thousands of stories never written, countless lives that couldn't or didn't end in Wexford, but took the Rosslare boat to start anew, never again truly of Wexford, but always regarding home, coming home to Wexford. First love is also exposed. The disablement of lovesickness, the power of Doris on a hormonal 15-year-old, desperately anxious to be 16. The all too familiar rituals of White's Barn, the wagon wheel chandeliers, the varnished crossbeams, I can see them all now, and of course, the broken hearts. Pearse presents a collage of memories, of music, of Sputnik, of the normal ebb and flow of existence, death and marriage, vulnerabilities and happiness. Of course, there is a glimpse of life outside of Wexford too. Only a glimpse of New York's bright lights, shared living in the global melting pot of the Big Apple, and name-dropping of musical collaboration with Cyndi Lauper. We are blessed in this corner of Ireland to have produced such creative giants as Billy Roach, here present, Owen Colfer, Colm Tóibín, and so many more. Maybe it's the infusion of the many bloodlines that entered this island through our place. Whatever it is that nurtures the creative, another name has already been added to that illustrious list. Jem and Molly would be proud indeed of Pearse, and we, the people of Wexford, are proud to have our stories told by one of our own. It is my great joy to declare the book launched.
I just want to thank everybody who put money into GoFundMe for this book, because I just can't tell you what a difference that makes when you think about it. You know, how would you do a book like this, you know, if you without a publisher, you know? But for this new world that we're living in, where you can raise money like this, I mean, because I thought about going to it, looking for an agent, and then going looking for a publisher. You know, the people who get into this job between artists and the thing, there's only a few special ones, and there are some really special, but there's an awful lot of opinionated people who are don't really have a great opinion. So I didn't want to go through that. So fortunately, because of GoFundMe, I was able to do it anyhow. We did this book together, really, everybody.